Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to challenge some really basic assumptions about a technology that literally surrounds us every single day. I'm talking about the Internet of Things, or IoT. We hear this buzzword all the time, right? But the reality of what it actually is, how it functions, and the absolute invisible giant it's become, well, it's vastly different from what most of us think. When you hear Internet of Things, what's the very first image that pops into your head? Is it like your smart fridge, a thermostat that learns your daily routine, or maybe that smart speaker sitting on your kitchen counter? For a lot of us, our entire understanding of IoT is rooted right there in the consumer market, totally confined to our smart home gadgets. But honestly, if we stop there, we're missing the massive hidden iceberg right beneath the surface. So let's just hit reset for a second with a formal definition. The Internet of Things actually describes physical objects embedded with sensors, processing ability, software, and other tech that connects and exchanges data with other devices and systems. And hey, this isn't just one single piece of tech. The whole field has evolved thanks to a brilliant convergence of multiple disciplines. We're talking ubiquitous computing, which basically means tech that's seamlessly integrated everywhere, sensors, embedded systems, and machine learning. It literally brings together electronics, communication, and computer science engineering into one massive cohesive ecosystem. Now, here is where it gets really interesting, because there's a massive misconception built right into the name itself. Calling it the Internet of Things is actually a total misnomer. You might assume all these devices constantly need the public internet to function, right? But the reality is, they don't. Most of these devices really only need to be connected to a network and be individually addressable to exchange data. They don't actually need the public web at all to do their jobs effectively. And because they don't need to be tethered to your home Wi-Fi router, the true scale and power of IoT technology lies completely invisible to the average consumer. The biggest applications aren't in your home at all, not even close. They are entirely embedded within the business and industrial sectors, just quietly running the absolute backbone of global commerce. Let's actually take a look at how this translates into some massive real-world numbers. 22%. That number is huge. It represents the single largest application of IoT on the entire planet right now: commercial asset tracking and fleet management. Driven by the sheer unyielding need to constantly monitor mobile assets, things like delivery vehicles and massive shipping containers moving around the globe, this one industrial sector accounts for almost a quarter of the entire IoT market. To put that 22% into a bit more perspective, just look at the staggering scale of mobile asset monitoring at the end of 2024. We are talking about 5.8 million active trailer trackers globally, and right alongside that, another 5.3 million intermodal container trackers. Millions and millions of discrete physical objects, completely packed with sensors and embedded systems, just constantly pinging their status and location across global supply chains. It's wild. But hey, the industrial footprint definitely doesn't stop at logistics. Let's quickly breeze through some of the other massive commercial sectors out there. We've got industrial monitoring, where sensors are out there literally predicting machine failures before they even happen. There's smart metering and utilities, which optimizes our energy grids in real time. And, of course, connected healthcare, where embedded devices are monitoring patient vitals totally remotely. Basically, IoT is deeply, structurally integrated into the daily infrastructure we rely on. But here's where we really need to shift our focus a bit, because all of this massive scale brings up a pretty critical conflict. As our source material points out, due to their interconnected nature, IoT devices are vulnerable to security breaches and privacy concerns. Think about it. We have millions of invisible devices out there tracking, measuring, and communicating, which naturally creates a vast landscape of inherent vulnerabilities in our interconnected physical world. So, the crucial point here is understanding what we call the regulatory catch. The very way these devices communicate, wirelessly, often physically moving across international borders, creates massive regulatory ambiguities regarding data transfer. Just think about one of those shipping container trackers traveling from Asia to Europe and then to the Americas. Which jurisdiction's privacy laws actually apply to the data it's constantly beaming up? It incredibly complicates jurisdictional boundaries. Because of these enormous risks, both industry leaders and governments are actively scrambling to catch up. They are moving incredibly fast to try and adequately address these concerns and minimize safety risks. And they're doing this through a pretty clear multi-step process, first developing international standards, then establishing local guidelines, and finally implementing hard, enforceable regulatory frameworks. It is literally an ongoing race right now to secure an infrastructure that is already deeply entrenched in our world. Which really leaves us with this final, incredibly important question. As millions more of these devices come online, monitoring everything from our global supply chains to our own heart rates, who actually regulates the invisible data borders of our interconnected world? It's a hugely complex challenge that governments and industries are only just beginning to untangle. I really hope this explainer gave you a whole new perspective on the invisible giant operating all around us. Keep questioning the tech you see, and honestly, more importantly, keep questioning the tech you don't.